Okay, Nikki, before we hop into your session, I pulled you some oracle cards and I'm going to send you pictures of them as well as our guidebook descriptions because that will give you a deeper level of messaging. And because we're going to be talking about abundance today, I thought it was very funny because you pulled an abundance card. And so I
Oh,
was like,
that's
oh,
too funny.
yes, how
Awesome.
synchronistic. Okay. And
Yeah.
the message is believe you deserve, accept plenty and prosperity. Okay. So I
All
will
right.
send
I
you
love that.
those. I
Thank
also
you.
built you, oh, you're welcome. I also built you a crystal grid. I asked each one of your chakras what would help with their healing and their growth. And so I'll send you a picture of that. And then I'll send you the replay later today. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So the notes that you left me, and I have a lot of notes to go over with you from your higher self.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
So,
Okay.
yes, she was very chatty this morning. Okay. So
Okay.
yes, in the best way, positive ways. Okay. So the notes that you left me is you received a settlement. Uh,
Yeah.
yes, and monetary settlement, and we are having some fears about losing it, uh,
Yes.
utilizing it irresponsibly, or it being taken away from us. And one
Mhm.
of the reasons is because we had a vision of one of our ancestors who that did happen to. Maybe not the monetary thing, but it sounds like his property was
Yeah.
taken
His
and
business
probably other type
and
of valuables, and it probably affected
yeah.
his family and things of that nature. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're worried if that is going to have karmic rollover effects on us in this incarnation.
Yeah. I feel like it was like my ancestor kind of screwing over my other ancestor. That's what I kind of felt when I had that vision, which was
Yes.
interesting. So,
So we want to dig in and see what we need to uproot there.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just jump right in here. Okay. So your higher self got the hard hitting questions. Okay. So
Okay.
okay. So let's get ready here. Okay. Why do you think that you are not a responsible person? Is the first question your higher self. I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. Dang. She's going right there.
Brace a little bit. Okay. There was no easing into that. So
Yeah, okay.
yes.
I guess in childhood, like I was the baby of the family. I was told that quite repeatedly as a child that I'm irresponsible. And I have an older
Mhm.
sister who's a year older than me, and she's very mature for her age. Like people thought she was like my mom at some point because like
Okay.
she's so motherly, and she was always told that she was responsible but immature and that I was irresponsible. It was kind of like that negative programming.
Sure. Okay. Do you think that you were irresponsible as a child or like a normal amount of irresponsible as a child? Because,
I think normal because like we're
okay.
children, we're growing up, like we're learning, and I wasn't really given the coaching and the support as a child, so I would like screw up a lot, but then I would just be shamed and told I was irresponsible. When really it's like, no, you're a child, you're still learning, like this is how we do things. There's consequences, but yeah, it's just kind of a belief that's really embedded in me.
Okay. Do you mind going a little bit deeper into the inner child stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because it all correlates with one another. Okay, so
Yes, yeah.
okay, so when you said I used to screw up a lot as a child, what does that mean to you? And you can share
Like
whatever you're comfortable with. You don't even have to give like specific examples if you don't want to.
I guess there's lots of instances, as a kid you're learning, like I would try
Hmm.
something new, like either cooking or just any little task. And as a kid, you're still learning. And of course I would screw up instead of getting like coached or taught, how to do it properly, it would just be taken away from me. And I'll be told like you're stupid, you can't do it, you're irresponsible, you're not allowed to do that anymore. And it's like, well, I'm 8. Like you need to tell me how to do this properly. That's not fair.
Okay.
And yeah, it happened a lot.
Yes. Okay. When we are thinking of the terminology of I was a screw up or I was screwing up, okay, when I hear that from your inner child, because that's whom it's coming from, right? That
Yes.
sounds like a lot of guilt and shame that we are holding over self when we don't need to. Like, how is it a screw up if we don't know better?
Exactly. Yes.
Is it honestly actually a mistake or is it a learning growth moment?
A
Okay.
learning growth
Like,
moment.
how would
Yeah.
you know? Right. So, from what I'm hearing from her, and this might be representative of things that are happening in your current experience too, if you don't know how to do something right off the bat, it's like, oh no, I screwed up. Like, something is wrong with me. Like, I should have known.
Oh,
Well, how
yeah,
do
like a
you
lot of
know
shame.
if you don't know? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, it sounds like why this is coming up, one of the reasons is that we have probably in our life, and many of us have not utilized money in the best capacities, right? Probably from like impulsive choices, or again,
Oh yeah.
not being taught how to quote unquote handle it responsibly.
Yes.
Okay. It does sound that you have made a pivot in those areas though, because you're being so intentional and at this point overly intentional about
Yeah.
it, right? And micromanaging now, right? Self
Yep.
and the money. Okay. So first off, we want to celebrate self for being so intentional about it and thinking about it so much. Like now it's kind of swinging too far the other way now that we're constricting, and that's also a form of like lack and self-sabotaging and a way, right? It's on
Yeah.
the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
So but we want to celebrate like, hey, I am really trying to birth this into something great that will help me in the future and help other people. And I want to be as intentional about it as I can. This is not representative of old versions of Nikki.
Okay. I like that.
I am not her. I am in a different space. First of all, I manifested this money in the first place. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying it probably, if it's a settlement, we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of that because I don't know what the
Yeah.
ins and outs are. But even if it seems like, oh, I received this money because of something negative that happened, right? We still have an influx of positive energy that's coming our way to circumvent whatever that was that happened, right? So
Yeah.
in an instant, it is a positive result, okay, that we manifested. Okay.
Yeah. It
Now,
is. Yeah.
yes. Okay. So, Nikki, in the past, and how long ago was it that you received this?
I want to say like a month or so ago, and it is for a positive reason. Like nothing bad happened. It was just because I'm Cree, I'm treaty, and there was a huge settlement thing with a lot of First Nation reserves from like 100 years ago, and all these people are getting all this money, which is
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yes.
positive.
Yes. Okay. Is one of the reasons that you are receiving this money because of the settlement, because of some evil things that have happened in the past, because of history?
Yes,
Okay.
it's called it's based on I guess back in the day of colonialism. They promised my ancestors that oh we'll give you cows and plows and all these equipment to do like farming because we took your land away. That never happened. And then now the government's oh we screwed up. Let's give the money back to the people that we promised. Like this, I guess the same amount of money would be to like start up a farm. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Which honestly, that when did you have this vision of this ancestor?
Probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that if you have PTSD that comes up in your body, okay, because
Yeah,
your ancestors were wronged in this
yeah,
incarnation, right? And now you're getting
yeah,
this money for
yeah,
the wrongs that have happened, right?
yeah,
These things are all interconnected with one another. So I can see where in your energetic field there might even be a sentiment running of, do I deserve this? Because this didn't happen to me. It did because it is part of your ancestral history.
yeah.
But I have to make sure that I'm so responsible with this because this is their money,
I guess, yeah, in a
your
way.
ancestors' money. Okay, we're taking on a lot of like weight. That's okay. I can see that running a little bit in your subconscious there. Okay.
Yeah.
So what comes up when I say that, or is that something that you have thought of previously?
I guess, yeah, like, yeah, I gotta be responsible because it's like that's their money that they have lost, that they've worked really hard for, and it's like a fear too of like it's gonna go away and then I'm going to feel guilty and like
Hmm.
upset that I didn't use it the way that I didn't use it responsibility or honor it in the way
Yes.
that they would like me to.
Do you think that you being fearful of this money um is what they would want?
No, I could see them like shaking their head like no.
Do you do you think that they would want you to live a completely different life than they did because they probably endured a lot of hardships, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that they want you to be happy and free and feel liberated and enjoy with this money?
Yes.
Okay. Even if it's not for anybody else, like sometimes it's okay to focus on your own joy too, which I know you'll end up helping other people with it as well. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's
Yeah.
also okay for you to fill your cup so that you can overspill to others.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, okay. So, what do you think that they would say about this settlement to you?
I'd say like use it wisely, to use it to like invest in myself, to, like do things that will help me, like for example, like paying for the session and
Hmm.
like buying nice clothes and
Hmm.
jewelry and like make things that look important to me, and just to like just have fun with it and enjoy it because I deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That there's more coming on the way. I just gotta trust.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So when we are having these feelings of, because this is going to serve you in the future as well, when we're having these feelings of, I'm not responsible because I was told, I'm a screw up, we really need to be taking a moment to explain to those versions of us, hey, you're not a screw up. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. Okay. Like we don't, and even when you make similar quote unquote mistakes, sometimes you got to have several examples before it clicks.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So telling them too, like, hey, you know, that's part of the journey, that's part of life, but I don't see you as a screw up. You need to be telling them that
Okay. Thank you.
because you're still talking to yourself like that.
Yes.
Okay.
I
And if
totally.
you're talking to them like that, how are they going to break free from that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, where in life right now are we saying that we are a screw up outside of this money situation? Because if you're doing it in one area, it's
Yeah.
going to affect all the other areas as well. Okay.
Oh yeah, I can already see,
Okay.
like I like at work, just in general, like even like keeping care of like my home and just like things like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, very much, especially with work and like my career and like just in general, like everywhere I can see it.
Yeah. So, why do you think that it is, and this makes sense in a second because this has been me too. Okay. So why do you think that it is our first inclination to always go to I'm a screw up instead of investing back in self and focusing on the things that we are really good at, and giving ourselves that confidence and that up boost in our self concept? Okay, like, okay, maybe I did not this is
Yeah.
like so great over here, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm also really good at all these other things, and I'm also really good at figuring out how to do things in the
Mm.
future, right? What's
Yeah.
preventing us from kind of pivoting there when those things happen?
I don't know. I seem to kind of get stuck on that. I don't, yeah, I guess that's like a blind spot of mine. Because I feel like I'm pretty good at like the self-talk, but yeah, with that area, I don't really do it as well as I would like it to. If that makes sense.
It does. Sometimes we need somebody to show us what the blind spot is, and then it's in our
Yeah.
perceptual awareness. So when these things happen in the future, I really want, or your higher self. Okay. I was trying to say that it's not actually coming from
Yeah.
me, it's coming from that. Okay.
Yeah.
So your higher self really wants you to, when you are having those thoughts, understand that it is actually you projecting that onto your inner child and keeping that trauma open and alive, right? Because you're like, wow, both of
Yeah.
us are screw ups. So you have
Mm.
to come in and stop that for a second if you can, and you're
Yeah.
and you're not harming them. Okay, this is
Yeah.
just a behavioral pattern. Okay,
Yeah.
they all been okay, but when that happens, coming in and saying, hey, no, you're not, and let me explain to you why we're not. Because now we're looking at the trauma instead of being the trauma, and
Okay.
is allowing us to step back and look at what's happening objectively and be like, I'm not going to sit here and berate myself. That's not helping anybody. Okay, so it just gives you that momentary, like, oh, let me help y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. So higher self wants to ask, why do you think that you're going to run out? Like, let's say that you invested, not spent. Okay, we
Yeah.
invested all of this settlement that we got. Okay,
Mhm.
so why do we think that there's not going to be a replenishment of that in some type of capacity?
I guess because this is like the first time I've ever gotten this amount of money before. Like I like for
Hmm.
most of my life I lived like paycheck to paycheck, and it's just like I guess I have a lot of people who are trying to be helpful, but like trying to give me advice on how to utilize this money. And I
Hmm.
guess they're kind of projecting their own negative money
Hmm.
beliefs on me. Like, you got a budget, like, it's gonna first
Hmm.
run, you gotta be smart, you gotta do this, this, and this. And
Hmm.
or a point where it's getting me kind of annoyed. Because I know some people are, it's good intentions, but it's just, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, I'm like, stop it now, because now you're getting me in my head. And it's
Hmm.
just worried that it's going to I guess it happened a lot to my parents. Like, for example, there was times where my parents got some money, like my dad, for example, through like workers' comp, and instead of like utilizing it for something that would be really good for us, like say buying a house, which we really needed, he spent it all on like stuff that was like not not really helpful. Like it wasn't really in the best interest of everyone. It was just kind of a lot of irresponsible spending in my family, and I'm always worried that I'm going to keep repeating that pattern, and then I'm just never going to um, utilize that money correctly, and then it's going to be gone, and it's not going to, I don't know, it's like I just have this feeling it's going to be gone and it's not going to come back. And it's like, well, no, I think that's where the block is.
Okay. So with your dad, are you him?
No.
Are you an aware, awakened being on their ascension journey who's very like pro collective and like, and also like
Yes.
very aware of like the intentionality of what you're investing into? Like, because you're over analyzing and overthinking this so much, do you
Yeah.
think that that's something that your dad was doing?
Not really. No.
Okay. Okay. So there really is no way that we would take the same action steps as dad because we are a completely different being than him. We have chosen
Yeah.
a different path. We have chosen to be a lot more conscientious and self-aware. Nothing, not anything saying bad about your dad.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's no energetic way that you would make those same choices. Let's say that you did invest it in something and then it fell out from underneath you. Okay. And then you went and we don't have that anymore. Right.
Mhm.
I know that you're not going to just like dump it. It would still be some type of intentional, like, okay, well, if I invest in this and I can get this back, like it would still be a very thought out thing that you would be doing. Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a choice that he would have made. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it was that case. So there's no way that you can even energetically make the same decision as him because you're so vastly different from one another.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't feel that way sometimes because it's like, oh, that's my dad and that's how I was raised and all these different things. But
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So higher self wants to ask, why do you not trust your up leveling abilities? Like, oh, you've hit this mile marker of like, oh, snap, I'm a powerful manifester. Look what I
Yeah.
actually brought into myself, right? Why are we not seeing the forward, upward trajectory of our new abilities and gifts? Of like you reach this like okay you were at level 1 and
Yeah.
now we have reached level 5 and they're like why do you think that we're going to go back down to level 1 down here.
I know. I just keep going back to that memory or that vision I was shown. It's like, oh, what if I have all this stuff I get and it's amazing, and then it's just like the fear of us having it taken away, or
Yeah,
and then all that
what
shame
is
and guilt.
taken away, what does taken away mean to you? Like what could potentially happen there?
I guess like fear of like either someone stealing it or something were to come up where I have to utilize all that money, like an emergency situation, or just me being impulsive with my spending and not budgeting appropriately. I don't know, like not trusting my own self.
Okay, let's talk about the emergency funds for an example. Okay, so um let's say that something happened and then you had to invest all of that money for the emergency. Is that actually being taken away, or is that like an incredible blessing that you had it and that you
It's,
manifested it in order to invest it back into yourself and so that you would be at a good homeostasis and then you could just do it again?
I like that. Yeah, it'll be investments. It'll be a blessing. So
Right, because it's not being taken away. You utilize it for yourself to invest in yourself. It just sometimes
Yeah.
when those emergency things come up, we're like, oh no, this is the universe doing something, or like obviously I'm being punished, or like something else like that. Like, oh no, maybe you had the foresight to manifest this money so that you would be okay if something happened like that.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. The other one was somebody stealing the money. Okay. And that's probably having to do with the vision, but we're gonna talk about that. Okay. And then what was
Yeah.
the third, and then what was the third fear that you had?
I guess not trusting myself, like spending it impulsively.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that you would impulsively spend that on?
Well, I've
Like,
already been doing some of that, like shopping. Like I love retail therapy, and I have a
okay.
tendency to just like I've gotten better at it. I used to be a lot worse in the past, but where I would end up buying stuff that I don't 100% love, and then it's just stuff that sits in my place, like clothes that just hang in my closet, and I've gotten a lot better at stopping myself. Like, no, we don't 100% love this. Let's just put this back.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So have you gotten anything with it that you don't love? Or is that just representative of like past Nikki?
I guess like a little things here and there. Like for example, I bought a little tiny water fountain. It's only $25, but it didn't work. It works, but like I can't hear the water. I just hear the pump. So I can't return it. And so now I'm like, oh, I wasted $25. It doesn't like work how I wanted it to. And it's just like little things like that. But I guess that's me just dwelling the on the things that didn't work out, I guess.
Well, and it's not one, it's wanting to not go back into old behavioral patterns too. And so if these
Yeah.
things are in your home right now, we need to get rid of those things because they
Mm.
are creating an anchor point in your consciousness of like, look at me, how I screwed up. There's a
Okay.
lot of okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways that we could do that. Okay. So one, we need to give ourselves grace and compassion and say, like, hey, this is still a behavioral pattern that I'm working on releasing.
Mhm.
And thank goodness that I see it.
Yeah.
And I have tools and resources because I can actually sit when I want to purchase these things. Because this is something that I've been working on too, is when I think about this thing in my soul, does it light me up? Is this something that my brain is trying to do or my impulsive behaviors? Or like, is it how is this going to bring me fun and magic and joy and whimsy? Because maybe it was originally. Maybe it
Mhm.
was like, oh, this water in
Mhm.
my house is going to help me feel very peaceful and serene, and it's going to help with the atmosphere, and it's going to help me feel relaxed. Like, that's not a waste of money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we do, and if it doesn't work, obviously, like you can donate that or something, or
Yeah.
whatever you need to do with it. But if you have other things like this in your home, you can regift them to people that would really
Okay.
enjoy them, or you can donate them if you want to do that as well. But I would get those things out of your space and either give them to somebody or donate them. So that way it's not re-triggering you say, hey, this is a lesson learned.
Okay, thank you. I like that. And I
Yeah.
do need to do some spring cleaning, like donating stuff anyway, so it's perfect.
Yeah. And we're just pouring love out to somebody else by donating it or gifting it to them. If you can gift it to somebody, that's even better because then you can see it in real time.
Yeah.
When somebody's like, oh, thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when we are going to make purchases in the future, maybe we do if I want this in 72 hours,
Yeah.
because you're also seeking dopamine.
Yes.
Okay. Impulse. Okay. So typically, if we just wait,
Yeah.
sometimes, right? And I know that's difficult when we're in certain stores and we want things, but even then,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, if I want it in 72 hours, then I can go online. When we go online, now there's a whole nother barrier to it because now we're having to get on the internet, we're having to do all these things. So even then it's like, hey, let's wait. Okay. Not every time. Like again, we're still working on like what do we actually want to bring us joy, right? But sometimes we know when it's an impulsive thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And we still are overriding, right? So sometimes we have to create that hard boundary and say, okay, if I want it in 48 hours or 72 hours, then I will revisit. I have
I
also
like
been
that.
a very impulse shopper before with the trinkets and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I give it some time and space. And then usually I'm like, okay, I didn't actually, I just wanted the dopamine.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Okay.
like that.
Yes. Okay. So now let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay. So sometimes my inner children and teens have been wanting to be impulse shoppers because I grew up very poor.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. And I'm like, oh, we got money now.
Yeah. Yeah, let's have
During these
fun.
things, right? But it is trying to fill a void space that's actually not having anything to do with those things. Like it's deeper stuff, like abandonment stuff. Like it doesn't actually have like that stuff's not going to fill that void, right? And so something that you can do as well is whatever it is that you're wanting to buy or purchase. If we take that break and we say, okay, well, let's think about it. What if you went into meditation and played with that thing with your inner children or your teens or past
Mhm.
versions of yourself first,
Okay.
and then see if they still want to buy it? Because most of the time they're like, oh no, we already had fun with it. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I like that. I could like see them like looking at something and then like throwing it on the ground.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, I'm done. Because kids, they'll be like, okay, I'm done with this. Never play with it again.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it was like
Right.
$300. So it's like,
Right. Okay. So maybe we do that. Okay. We're going to wait 48 hours. And then I'm also going to come in with here and play with you. And then if we still want it afterwards, then let's figure out why we want it. Why is it going to bring us joy or happiness? How it is going to improve our life. And sometimes it's like cherry earrings.
yes, that was
Like,
like definitely, I wear this all the time. I'm like, good investments.
yeah. It's not, and you probably knew, okay, the things that you're impulsively buying are not going to serve you in the long term. But those cherry earrings, you're like, I'm going to wear these all the time. And this is a good representative of my internal personality that I want to showcase outside of me. Right. And I got it
Yeah,
from a metaphysical place. So it's imbued with
yeah,
all this great energy. Like, that's different.
yeah,
That's when we can make those purchases like in real time.
yeah.
Okay. So if you had $1 million, what would you do with that money?
Oh wow. I always thought about this. Oh gosh, probably buy a house.
Okay.
And invest and also use it to help some people that I care about.
Okay. So you said a house,
Yeah,
invest for
yeah,
future Nikki. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. And then help other people. Okay. How would you want
yeah.
to help other people?
Like give like money to like loved ones I know that aren't in the best financial situation, and even just like donating money anonymously to like strangers who are struggling.
Hmm.
Because I've been there, I've been on disability twice, so I know what it's like to like be there and like feel like you're on the verge of losing your home
Hmm.
or having to like sell things just to make things like ends meet. And I never want anyone to be in that situation.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's representative of a responsible person.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not hoarding. Okay.
Yeah.
We're over here and we're like, and again, supporting yourself because you are an energy healer and you radiate joy and magic and peace and higher consciousness and all these things. Even if you just solely invested in yourself, it is going to have such a huge effect onto others. Even if you're not offering people like monetary help,
Yeah.
even the work that you do now in your 9 to 5, like you're just giving
Yeah.
so much to other people, right? Okay. So your higher self said, with this money that you do have right now, okay, you're very clamped down and constricted on it, which means
Yeah.
that there's no way for more money to flow in because there's
Yeah.
all this other money over here. But we're like, no, I have to hyper focus on this amount right
Yeah.
here and make sure it does it
Yeah.
right. So we're blinding all this other that can come in. One, because we're not trusting ourselves that there's more out there, right?
Yeah.
So in order to let go of this vice that's on this, your higher self wants you to start in your mind thinking about, even if you don't utilize it in these capacities, what are all of the things that I could do with this money? Who are all the
Oh,
people that I could help? How could I invest in myself with this? And just be generating those thought patterns, because it is going to put all of this expansive energy into the money. Because it's like, oh, it could go
okay.
in all these different directions and flow in these ways and put smiles on people's faces and just completely restructure the energy with that money that you have right now.
Okay.
Kind of like when you have $1 million and you're thinking about that, just hypothetically, and you're like, oh, I would do this and I would do this and I would do this and I
Yeah.
would do this. Higher self's like, why don't we do that with the money that we have now?
Yeah.
Because that is coming from a place of gratitude and thankfulness and putting positive energy on it, and it's opening the channels so more is attracted to you and more is magnetized to you, because it's like, oh, obviously we need to send her more because she has these
Yeah.
big to top plans that she wants to help
Yeah.
people. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So we're just giving it a new breath of fresh air into it, right? And higher self is like, you
Mhm.
don't even have to go do those things. You will in some capacities, right? But
Yeah.
it's more about healing your relationship with money overall. Of like, wow, this is a beautiful, bountiful blessing that I could do so many things for myself and others with. Let me get up in my imagination and really take off and heal it so it's not so constricted, my thought patterns with money. It's expansive instead.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
love that.
okay, good. So I was watching this TikTok the other day, and it's so funny because it was almost exactly representative of what you're talking about right now. Somebody had received an inheritance and they were worried about spending all of it, okay, and no more coming in, right?
Yeah.
And this person had given them some advice, which was beautiful, of when you are having fears and anxieties like this, it is a beautiful time to go bless somebody else, because some of those fears are rooted in, or a trauma is rooted in, I know what it's like to have nothing. And when somebody really helped me, like it really helped me get on a more prosperous and abundant track, right? It really just helps
Okay.
uplift you. And she was like, go buy somebody some flowers. Go
Oh, I
get
love that.
go get them a gift card. Give the waitress or the waiter like an extra tip and actually like hand it to them in cash, like a really nice one, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't have to go wild, okay, and like do
Yeah.
these things. But when you are spreading those blessings, when you're saying, I'm so abundant and blessed, I'm so grateful that I received this, I want to outpour this to others in some type of way, and you actually see the smile on their face, it's putting good energy into that money instead of it being constricted. It's allowing that flow. And it's like, oh, I'm able to give out because I know there's going to be more that comes back. And it doesn't have to be $5,000 that you're over here
Yeah.
giving to somebody. It can literally be
Yeah.
$20 gift cards that you give to somebody. Like that can really, I mean, I've been in a place before where a $20 gift card would have
Yes.
done a lot for me. And it sounds
Yeah.
like for you too, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just creating more expansiveness.
I love that. I've already been doing it a little bit here and there, and then I would stop myself being like, "You're giving your money away too much. Like, you gotta slow down." But I'm like, "No," because then I'll see those moments where I'll give something to someone and they're so happy and grateful. I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing." I'll have those same feelings, and then I'll go back to like, "Oh, I need to like really like budget and be careful." But I know I like that.
Yeah,
That's
I'm investing in somebody else because I know, not because I'm going to get that investment back, but I know I'm going
yeah,
to get it back.
yeah,
Like this is the paradigm that we're all trying to shift into, is like, hey, I have abundance, let me share it with you. And then
yeah,
I get more abundance back because I'm a magnet to that. And then I just do it again. And this is how we're all getting everybody
yeah,
on this new plane, right? But
yeah,
it takes people doing the groundwork right now with these things, right? And not feeling guilty about it. Of like, no, this made me so happy, and money makes me happy. I love money. It brings me so much joy, brings other people joy. This is spectacular. Okay. And it doesn't always have to be money that you're giving to people. It can be um, like I have a whole bunch of books that I'm going to be sending to a friend. And I'm not sending her necessarily money, but I'm sending something that is going to be an investment in
yeah.
her, right? But I'm utilizing money as a way to get those things to her, right? And that just makes me so happy. And I'm not going to feel guilty about needing to buy the postage and all this stuff, right? Because I know that goodness is going to come back to me.
Oh, great. Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Okay. But the guilt that we're feeling and the shame when we output, that's what's creating the blocker.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. It's
And
like
first of all,
we're
your family's very lucky.
it's like we're punishing ourselves for helping other people.
Yes, you're right. Oh gosh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So why do we think that's happening? Or like that energetic cord of like, okay, well, if I help somebody else, I'm still having to punish self in some type of way.
I just like I don't know. I keep seeing like my mom like holding like a little purse and like tightening the strings. Like no, like we gotta like really like hold on to this money and just like hmm. Yeah, just like the fear of like, oh, I'm gonna give too much away, then I won't have enough for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to like um that belief like, oh, I'm gonna give too much away, then I won't have enough for myself, and then I would be back where I was before, which I know is not true.
Mm-hmm. Do your inner children, let me see what your higher self wants me to ask him. Hold on. Do your inner children think that they are still living in kind of like these old reality scapes of Nikki? Not necessarily from childhood, but from like younger adult years.
Yeah, I just see a bunch of them like nodding, like, yeah.
Okay. 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 So let's ask them why they do not trust you as the higher self, as the new higher self, specifically with finances. When you're like, I already proved to y'all that I like, look at all this money we just got. Okay.
Yeah.
What ask them like what is the disconnect? Like why do they not think that you can do it again? Because this is the first time?
I just heard like because I screwed up in the past before, like with money, like when I was in my early 20s, I got student loans and I didn't utilize them properly, and it took forever for me to like pay them back. They're paid back now, thank God. Um,
I want you to ask them what does that have to do with me?
they're like standing there like, oh, no.
I know, like really, no. You ask them
Yeah.
like, what does that have to do with who I am today?
They say because I still have some of the lingering behavioral patterns. And
Mm,
it's like they're worried that I'm gonna fall back completely back on that again.
mm. Okay. Let me see what your higher self wants me to say here. Okay. I'm gonna speak with them really quick inside. So
Oh,
give
okay,
me one
yes,
second. I'm gonna
yeah,
close my eyes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when I was speaking to some of the younger ones, especially, they were like, oh, we're trying to keep her safe. We're trying to protect her. That's why we keep on reminding her of these behavioral patterns.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
sense.
They're like,
Totally.
look at this, look at this, look at this, look at
Yeah.
this. Because what they're trying to do is they are trying to show you that as a reminder, but all that's doing is just pointing your energy and perception at those things. And it is
Hmm.
causing it to happen over and over again because what we place energy and attention on is what we
Yeah.
get more of, right? So
A cycle.
so they're
Yeah.
not seeing the logic in like, hey, if we keep on throwing all this stuff up, like money wounds, money wounds, money wounds, money
Yeah.
wounds, right?
Yeah.
Like they're doing that as kind of like a springboard for you of like, oh yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Let's do this over
Yeah.
here, right? But that's causing more damage than oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we're latching on to that and then it's becoming catastrophizing and intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna go back in really quick with them. Okay, they said, but if we don't do that, then what do we do? Okay. Okay. So
Just be your cute self.
so yeah, so well we need to give them some type of like action plan, something that's tangible because if you're just telling them like, oh, not you, just like your unconscious mind is telling them like, oh no, that's not this anymore, like don't do that and all these different things like they're That's not enough for them. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and skip forward to talk about something else. So, I have this internal scape within me that looks kind of like the movie Avatar with the blue people, and it has like all this tropical,
Ooh,
thing.
cool. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. There's also have you ever listened to Abraham Hicks?
Yes.
Okay, so you know about the vortex.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a energetic bank in my realm. Okay. And I'm
Okay.
constantly pouring into things in this internal scape, things that are opulent and luxurious and make me feel very wealthy and not just monetarily, just anything that brings me joy and magic and whimsy. And when my inner kids are feeling pain because they want something in life and we're not able to have it yet in the 3D plane, I'm like,
Mm.
oh, well, actually, the way that we get that is we actually experience it in here first. I said it takes a heck of a long time to actually get things in the 3D paradigm if you're doing it that way. I said if you do it in here and you feel it and you experience it in your imagination, you magnetize it to you a lot faster, right?
Yeah.
We need to be building some type of internal scape within you for your inner children,
Okay.
your teens. Because you remember when we were talking previously about like, hey, let's think about all of the ways that we could invest this money.
Yeah.
Or even with them, like, heck, if they want to get 27 trampolines. Okay, for all of them, right? That's something that we can do internally in here. Okay. So we need to redirect their imagination from worst case scenarios from this protective measure to best
Mhm.
case scenarios of what could we invest this money in, and not just this money, the money that's coming after this money. We need to
Oh,
be
I love
thinking
that.
about we need to be thinking about that money. Okay. And like let's take the pointed perception off of what we have in the bank account. We're like, what are we doing after this? Okay, and have the
Okay.
forward thinking. But when we're having these panics and intrusive thoughts and clamping down, we've got to redirect internally.
Okay.
How are y'all wanting to invest this money today in here?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not hold on, let me see what they're saying because they're trying to ping me. Okay, I'm going to explain something to you that your higher self wanted me to explain because then that will help them. Okay,
Okay.
because they're starting to understand what I'm saying, but they're still like, we got to protect her. Okay,
Okay.
so, okay, so higher self, and this is in reference to the different incarnation. Are you okay to go over time a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have plans or anything. Okay,
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
okay, so if you are looking for money blocks, you will find them.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so we're going to dig into that and why this incarnation is coming forward. So I was previously watching a ton of manifestation videos, specifically with money as well. And I realized that I was actually blocking myself doing that because a lot of the manifestation teachers with is beautiful and they're so helpful and they were helpful for a really long time because it was helping keep my vibration and frequency up and it was helping me understand what my quote unquote money blocks are. But then
Mm.
there came a point where I know what the blocks are. I knew what they were. And I was just watching these and not actually doing the tools and resources. And I was kind of like almost addicted to watching these things and I wasn't actually doing the work inside with my inner children and my teens that I needed to be doing. I was just
Oh,
fueling myself with these videos and it wasn't actually healing anything. Right. And at the same
mm.
time, I was programming myself because all of these teachers were saying, like, oh, well, these are all the reasons that you're blocked. These are all the reasons that the money's not coming in. So I was hearing that constantly. And it was actually
Okay.
creating more blocks within me because I was like,
Oh, wow.
oh, this is what's wrong with me. And then I would just hear that constantly. And then in
Yeah.
tandem with me not actually doing the work and just putting a band-aid on it with these videos, it was
Yeah.
actually creating more problems. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So one thing is if you say that you have blocks, then you do.
Okay.
Okay. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive because it's like, oh, hey, well, we need to, why all that stuff's there though. Like we
Yeah.
already know, right? Okay, so we need to be more utilizing the tools and resources that we have instead of hyper focusing on the actual blocks themselves, right? So
Yeah.
your higher self said we actually need to be working on our self concept instead. It's not actually about money blocks. It's believing in ourselves that we are responsible and that we
Okay.
are trustworthy and that we
Yep.
make good investments and that we have more coming down the line and that we are an expansive being and we are magnetic and speaking that life into ourselves instead of actually focusing on the blocks themselves because that's just creating a spiral movement down further.
Okay.
Okay. Like sometimes we're picking at things that don't need to be picked at, whereas we just were more forward thinking and speaking love and light into ourselves. That's actually what would give us more forward movement.
And I'm notorious for picking at things that don't need to be picked at.
Yes.
So,
And you're aware of them. That's your higher self saying there's not a whole bunch of like there's this programming inside of you, which a lot of people of like, okay, well, I have to grind out these blocks.
yeah.
Okay. Because that's a lot that's how we were being taught for a long time.
Yeah.
You could also simply say, I'm going to focus on where I want to head. And I am going to invest in these tools and resources that we talked about today and speaking more love and kindness to myself. And then I don't actually have to do all that grind work because I'm already aware of what those things are. It's not like you haven't been doing anything, Nikki. You spent years
Yeah.
figuring out these things.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like, okay, well, we found all of them. Now we just need to flip from like grinding
Mhm.
to just being more positive about self and working on self concept. Okay. So let me explain with the different incarnation, the ancestor that came through. Okay. So
Yeah.
if we are interpreting the reason that he came through to talk to you of, oh, this is why I am damaged,
Mhm.
then it is going to make you come from a very disempowered place and is going to make you be on a perpetual hamster wheel of I need to grind. And for not
Mm.
only me, for him. Okay.
Yeah.
Your higher self said if we look at it in a different lens of, wow, I have healed so much with my abundance in this lifetime that I can actually go in and heal him now. I
Yeah.
have learned so many tools and resources, not only in the 3D plane, but also as an energy healer, that that's the reason he's coming forward. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with me at all.
Yeah.
A lot of times, people have different incarnations. And I'll give you an example. Okay. So, um, a couple of days ago, I had a session with my friend, and we found a lot of different incarnations that have been hiding our magic because of fears of persecution, and
Mm.
various other things. And I had to say over myself, that doesn't have anything to do with me. Just because they experience that and we are of the same soul, that does
Yeah.
not mean that I'm making that same choice or that's not my experience.
Yeah.
Okay, I get to have a completely different incarnation. Okay. It's how you're interpreting that stuff coming through. Like
Okay.
maybe they are a mirror,
Yeah.
right? To show me how much I've grown. Or maybe I do have things that I still need to work on, right? Maybe that is why they're coming through. But if we claim that sovereignty inside and say, wow, I'm such an expansive energy healer and I have done so much that now I'm able to help them. And this doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't have anything to do with my money stuff in this one. Like it's just something coming through to help me grow and expand as a soul. That takes all of those heavy energy cords off that you're like, oh, this is just a regurgitation of generational trauma, which that's real. It is in your DNA. But
Yeah.
if we're coming from that disempowered place of like, oh, this is why I am a victim, then that
Yeah.
is where we will stay. And I'm not saying that he wasn't because he was. Okay. Like I'm not bypassing over like the victimhood that he lived through.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't stay in that space in this incarnation and be a benefit to him or yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So your higher self said what you can do instead is because him and his family experienced this trauma in their incarnation, you can actually invite him and his family into your heart space and actually help them rebuild within you. and create an internal space for them to live peacefully and happily and abundantly. Kind of like we talked about building an internal scape for your inner kids. You can
Yeah.
also help them build one in your timeline with you.
Oh, that's beautiful because like even like while you're like speaking like a few minutes ago about him, I saw him in my head and like me going up to him, giving him all this money and him holding it and him starting to cry. And
Yeah.
I can feel myself getting emotional, even like thinking about it. And like I could see him now and his family like in like a tent or like a teepee, I guess, and like just like living like their best life. That's like,
Girl, go in there and build him a mansion.
you can't.
Yeah, build
Okay.
like that's
I
another thing.
will.
Like help him expand his perception.
Yeah.
Like he's worthy and deserving of that. Everybody is, right? Everybody is deserving of living very abundantly. Help him break through his own paradigm. Okay,
Yeah.
barriers. Okay, for him and his family, right? So, and that's something that would be beautiful for you to do with your inner children with them.
Oh, okay. Yes. I love that. That's so I can already feel myself getting like more expansive and like, okay, I
Yes.
don't need to like worry about all this stuff.
Yes, his incarnation, even though it might be representative of Nikki in the past, that doesn't have anything to do with you today.
Mhm.
You have to pull away from those old lenses, Nikki. You have to say that has nothing to do with me today. I am a completely different person because you are, even from like a year ago or 2 years ago
Yeah.
or 5 years ago, right? You got
Yep.
to remind those inner kids that is not me. I'm literally a completely different person. And yes, are there still some, behavioral patterns that we're letting go of? Sure, but you know what it also is representative of us in the past? Us not seeing those behavioral patterns, us not knowing what those are, us not having tools and resources. Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not all the way where I want to be, but I'm so much closer to that person. I'm so much closer to this person than being close to this person over here, right?
Yeah.
So that's got to count for something, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you can also this would be really good for you too. Okay. So money is just a tangible form of energy,
Yeah.
right? And the reason that we're having these fears and these anxieties is because we're seeing as money as something out separate from us. When you created it in the first place, your source, you're the creator. Okay.
Yeah.
It's you in a different energetic form.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we are going in there to help this ancestor of ours and your inner children are in there, what would be a good exercise is to have them, what your higher self is telling me, to have them open their hands and
Yeah.
envision that there's like gold coins that are pouring in. Okay. Or whatever they
Yeah.
want, dollar bills or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Balloons. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that they are going to give it to him. And then we're going to
Oh,
ask them, where did that come from? Where did that money come from? Oh, we actually just created it because all it is just energy.
yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to give it to him. We're going to see him smile with his family. And maybe we even go on an adventure where we're investing the money and everybody goes to like an amusement park and you can teach your ancestor about what an amusement park is or something, right? And they go on
Yeah.
roller coaster rides or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And that is going to start breaking down the programming that you also have that money is something that is outside of you. No, it's actually something that's a creation of our own, and we can have it at any time that we
Yeah.
want. And we're going to utilize it in beautiful, amazing ways. So that will kind of be
Yes.
a bridge waypoint for the 3D things that you have going on right now as well.
I love that. That was amazing. I'm really excited to do that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Last thing here. So your higher self was saying, or two things. So you know how that you are able to have your school paid for?
Yes.
Okay, that's also a giant manifestation of money,
Yeah.
and they're not seeing it through that lens because it's not actually money coming to you, but it
Yes.
is. It is
It
actually
is.
coming to you. Okay.
Yes.
If they want to like quantify it like that, it's like, no, actually, I know it's probably just going straight to the school or whatever, but if we change that, it would go into our bank account and then go off to school, right? So you
Yeah.
actually have two representations of a lot of money coming in, not just the one this time. So you actually have two
Yeah.
examples now.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not, so that's going to be a flip for them as well. It's like, I've already done this two times now.
Yeah. And I have a third one too. I had a nice surprise. They screwed up my hydro bill, and I have a $1,000 credit on my hydro account now.
Oh, now we
And I
have
don't,
now we have three.
yeah. And now they reduced my bill where I only pay $40 a month for my hydro, which is like crazy. Like I
Yeah.
used to pay like 150, and I'm like, what? And I couldn't believe it because my place is very small,
Mhm.
so I don't use as much. So
Yeah,
that was a
150
very
is
so
yeah, okay. So now you have three, and that's another example to them too. Like money doesn't always come to us directly.
yeah,
Sometimes it takes like these other roundabout ways to like get to us, kind of like with your schooling, but it's still
yeah,
coming to us, right?
yeah,
And so now we have even more examples. And so when
yes,
they're saying like, "Hey, Nikki, you can't do this again. You can't repeat." Well, I've done it three times.
yeah,
Okay, it's not just the one time. I think that they were seeing it in that lens of like, well, it's only happened once now. It's not going to happen again.
yeah,
Okay, thrice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And there's probably other representatives of how money has come to you this way in the past, maybe not at
Oh
this
yeah,
quantity. We need to be
yeah.
giving them examples.
There's one time I found a $100 bill on the ground.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I can already hear them saying, well, that $100 is not a lot of money. Okay, which it is and it's not, in different capacities for different things, right?
yeah,
So this is where we have to explain to them the universe does not see a difference in the monetary value. It's just energy.
yeah.
It's just energy that's coming to you. Okay. So, like, I found these two pennies actually earlier on the ground. And every time that I find those, I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much for the prosperity and abundance. Like, I received more money I didn't even know where it was coming from today, right? We have to treat whatever type of energy that's coming our way with gratitude and appreciation and, like, and more, please.
Yeah,
Right. So the $100 you received is no different from the money you received for that settlement in the universe's eyes. It's just energy. It's
yeah.
your capacity for how much that you're allowing to come into your fields.
Okay.
Okay.
I love
Right.
that. I
And how
love
much
that.
ever you think you're worthy and deserving of. Okay. Because when you
Yeah,
think you're worthy and deserving of a ton of money or a ton of energy, then that influx is in. Okay, so
yeah.
that's what we have to kind of break down that barrier with them of like, hey, money is not actually the dollars and change. It's our self-concept.
Yeah.
It's how much energy that we think that we are worthy and deserving of. Okay. Okay. Last thing here, when we were doing the meditation before I started recording, the meditation was talking about a tree that we were connecting to. So there is a world tree, okay, on Earth
Yeah.
that is kind of the cumulative of all of the trees interconnected with one another. It is a
Okay.
representor of the tree's higher selves, if you will.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Okay. Like the oversoul of the trees here on Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
So your higher self said if you would spend some time in meditation connecting to the world tree through the etheric planes, it will help you connect with more of your ancestors who would be
Okay.
really great indigenous mentors for you with
Okay.
different type of like shamanic type of healings.
Oh, that's amazing because like one of my guides, I believe, is that ancestor that had all his stuff taken away, and I
Mhm.
always see him a lot. So I was like, I
Oh,
still have to
he
see
can
the
definitely
other.
help you with things. He can,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna do that.
He can definitely help you with some things, right?
Yeah.
He's very wise. Okay.
Yeah.
But you also have a lot of other ancestors that can help you too.
Yeah.
Right. So you connecting with them will help you bring them to the forefront of your consciousness, connecting to that world tree.
Okay. Oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna do
Yes.
that.
Yeah. You can also like when you're because all of the trees interconnect with one another. Okay.
Yeah.
You can speak to the trees just out and about or put your hands on them or just send them some love. And that's going to also connect you to the world tree as well. And then also them individually too.
Oh, great. I've done that before a little bit here and there, and I've been wanting to do that more. So thank you for that reminder.
Yeah. Or even if you're scrolling on TikTok, don't go outside and put your back on a tree. Like,
Nice. Okay. I'll do that.
okay, it doesn't have to be like the big ceremonial thing every time.
Yeah, yeah. Just chill by a tree.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any questions about the things that we talked about?
Wait, hang on. I did write some questions out yesterday, but I think you might have answered all of them.
Okay.
Uh, oh yeah, there's another question. It's like what did I learn about career or no, what did I learn about like I guess financial abundance from like past life experience? But I guess then that's like the ancestor that came through.
Do you mean, yeah, okay, give me a little bit more context as well. What do you mean with the things that you have learned in other incarnations?
I guess the question was I just pulled it from like a website. So it was like
Okay.
what did
Yeah.
I learn about it said career success and financial abundance from a past life experience or past life experiences. Um if that's I guess helpful.
What your higher self is saying is, and this is kind of going back with your self concept as well, is that you in some of your other incarnations have had some real issues with finances, sometimes of their own doing, sometimes of their not doing. And
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons that you have propelled yourself so far with financial literacy, even though you don't think that you have. Okay.
Yeah.
But you, okay. In the context of, I have to heal this PTSD and trauma within myself because I'm not going to allow this to have a grip on me in this incarnation anymore, or from whoever might come into my ancestral lineage moving forward. And I am going to make it one of my hyperfixations to
Yeah.
get myself, okay. So your higher self is saying, like, hey, sometimes we are not seeing financial literacy as healing PTSD and trauma. And
Okay.
sometimes that is the first chapters that we have to do to clear out enough space and clear out enough programming for us to be an open receiver for all of these new tools and resources to come in. So you're kind of looking back at yourself right now of like, I haven't done enough. Obviously, I would be further, or, all
Yeah.
these different things. And she's like, what about all that stuff that you did though?
Yeah.
Like to even be an open receiver for these new financial literacy or the new money that you have
Yeah.
coming in. That wouldn't have been able to come in if you hadn't done all this stuff over here. So it's only going to go upwards, right? But she's saying you're not quantifying financial literacy as doing the deprogramming in the clearing out of the heavy, dense energy. Okay. So she wants you to know that you are making huge impacts in your financial literacy, and it's only going to continue to go upwards.
Oh,
But
good.
yes, okay. Your different incarnations that I'm seeing here, they did not have the access that you do now. We have social media, we have classes, we have the internet, we have all these different things that are
Yeah.
available to us. This is the time, like, you didn't have to choose to do this, Nikki.
Mhm.
You could have just kept on going like the
Yeah.
other incarnations or like your parents and things like that. So
Yeah.
higher self is like, what we have learned is that we don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to be on this track of life anymore. You looked at
Yeah.
all these other different things and said, no, I'm choosing a different path.
Yeah.
How powerful is that? You need to be, you
That's so
need to be,
powerful.
we need to be like really understanding like how much how much dedication that you have had to put in to be self-aware and to look at all that stuff that happened with your parents and to make active changes and to be looking at the choices that you're making now so that you can propel your inner children, your teens on a better timeline for y'all's future. You're thinking about how's the best way to invest in me, how's the best way to invest in others. Like, that's incredible. You're not seeing how amazing that is. You're just like, oh well,
Okay.
that's just what everybody does and blah. No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's not. You made that conscious choice. So that is the lesson that you have learned is I'm not going to allow this in my field anymore.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
And I'm going to look at all this stuff in the face head
Yeah.
on. And I'm going to look at myself in the face head on and be very honest and truthful with myself about some of these
Yeah.
behavioral patterns and victimization, like all this stuff. And I'm going to work through that. so that I can have a completely different experience in this incarnation and then teach my other timelines. Look at one of them coming forward right now
Yeah.
for your healing. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Okay, you're over here saying like, oh, and this is your higher self talking. Okay. She's like, you're over here like, oh, like I don't know anything. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so broken, all these money wounds and all this stuff. You have
Yeah.
other incarnations coming forward to help to learn from you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. And they're going to continue because now you are the ancestor who is breaking the generational trauma train.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense? Like there's going to be
Yes.
future lineages of you.
Yeah.
You're the one that stopped it.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's
And
so
you're the
cool.
one that's doing all the backwards healing. That's
Yeah.
why all of your ancestors are like, girl, if you don't just enjoy that money,
Yeah.
like look at all the stuff we had to go through. Okay. Like,
Exactly.
thank goodness that you get to do that. And you're the person who gets it because we wouldn't have been able to utilize it in the best
Yeah.
capacities. But because you're so self-aware and intentional and you've done all this healing, you get to enjoy this and help others at the same time. Like, what a beautiful unfoldment, Nikki.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where that self-concept needs to come in and be like, wow, look at what I have done for not only me, but for my Akasha, like all these other different
Yeah.
lineages, right? Okay.
Wow. Well, thank you. That really shifted my perspective on that because I keep
Yeah.
thinking I'm not doing enough, but like, no, you are.
Yes. And I'm also saying that over your inner children and your teens as well.
Okay, thank you. I will
Okay.
I definitely receive that.
Yes. And we're not doing these things because we're trying to make up for being a screw up either. We're doing it because it brings us joy and it feels good to
Yeah.
clear all that stuff out. And it feels good to invest in ourselves and it feels good to invest in others. Because I'm saying that over them too, because I heard one of them say, oh, well, one of the reasons that we're doing this is to make up for the screw ups of the past. And that is not what we're doing.
Mm,
We are
yeah.
celebrating how
Yeah.
amazing we are.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay. 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 What was your biggest takeaway today?
All of it. I want
Okay.
to say it's yeah, there's like so much. Like holy crap. Like I have a lot of fun homework I gotta do. So I'm really excited and I feel like it's really shifted my perspective on the whole thing. Because here I was thinking, okay, we're gonna do maybe some deep healing. Maybe I gotta do all these like healing work. I'm like, no, that's not what it
You
is.
do the healing work to become aware of the behavioral patterns
Okay.
and to be aware of the trauma. And do you sometimes have to dig into that stuff? Yeah. But you've already
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
Now, now we need to shift gears in the ways that we're healing and
Okay.
put that expansive energy and be like, okay, well, now that we have become this new person,
Yeah.
where are we headed? Instead of looking behind constantly.
Okay.
Okay. Because if we keep on looking behind, then we're just energetically corded back there and we're going to be that person forever.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So watch this back because there was
Yes.
a lot of different layers and a lot of different tools for a lot of different things. And so that way you can have like a refresher. Because I was like, oh, well, let's do a recap, but there's a lot.
There is a lot. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
gonna take lots
A
of
lot of
notes.
different things. Okay. So
Yeah.
we want to, when we are working on this money thing, we need to be asking ourselves, is this grinding energy? Is this shameful energy? Is this guilty energy? We're not doing that because we're already done with those phases. How can we make this fun? How can we make this joyful? How can we bring laughter and how can we bring magic either with myself or with my inner kids? That is the trajectory that we need to move forward with.
Okay.
Okay. Any
Will do.
resistance that we feel, how do we make this fun? Okay. Okay. I'm going to send you your oracle cards and your crystal grid, and then I'll send you the replay. And I should have that over to you today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sage. Like, holy crap. I feel like I really made like a big shift there. I'm just so
Yay.
grateful. Inner children are very excited.
Great. Okay. And it was lovely speaking with you again. And your higher self wants me to say on the way out, some affirmations that we need to continue to say over self is I am responsible.
Okay.
I am
Well,
integral. I
okay.
make good choices.
I do. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Nikki. I will see you next time. Okay.
Yeah. You have a great day.
All right, you too.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.